All right. Friendly reminder, you have a 35-question test. You have 3 packets due on Friday. 3 packets due on Friday. 35-question test. You will be done with APGov after on Friday. On Friday, you are picking up 2 review packets for AP Comparative. One of them is the traditional one you're expecting. One of them is a little bit of a hybrid, so I'll give you a quick little cheat sheet on how to do that on Monday, but you could start your traditional one, the boxes, over the course of the weekend. What, Lucas?
The test is also on Friday.
So, with that being said, friendly reminder, you have a mock exam a week from Saturday. It is worth 200 points. Everyone is supposed to be there unless you have spoken to me to get permission to do the mock exam early, which means you're doing the makeups. The reason why I'm mentioning it now is because those makeup exams for the mock start Monday. Not next week, it's not after the mock exam, it is before the mock exam. So that way, you have taken it, and that way on the Monday after the mock exam, when we're spending time going over the mock exam, you're right there with us. Is everyone clear on that? Now, if we're spending a Saturday morning doing a mock exam, do you think we're never going to talk about it? Or do you think it's going to be a huge part of our review? Huge part of our review, yes. We will be spending lots of time going over all aspects of the exam, making sure you understand what mistakes you made, where your strengths are, and figuring out what you should be tackling going forward. Because you're 3 weeks out. You're 3 weeks out. Today would be 3 weeks from today is your last exam for me. Are you ready? Oof. So, we have some cleaning up to do. We have some reality that needs to be brought in, especially for Friday's test. Hopefully you saw what you were doing right last week, what you need some assistance with, and kind of using that information kind of going forward. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here. We have worked really hard over the course of the year. We've put in the work, we've put in the time, but we got to finish. Nothing matters unless you finish strong. So, we will continue. I'm doing my part. I need you to continue doing your part, making sure you are hitting the standard of passing this exam. Everyone is capable. It's a desire to do it. So, you have a mock exam. It's a week from Saturday. The makeups for those exams, with my permission, begin on Monday after school. You have 100 minutes for the writing. You have 80 minutes for the multiple choice. So for you doing the math on your mock exam, it's going to take you about 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes for the AP exam on your mock exam on Saturday morning. What happens is you're going to come in, you're going to start with a multiple choice, then you're going to get a 10-minute break because that's what AP requires, and I need time to kind of switch over my stuff anyway. You'll go stand outside awkwardly for 10 minutes, you'll come back in, and then you'll do your writing. Once you finish the writing, even if you're an hour in and you say you're done, you can leave. You can just leave. So you're there about an hour and a half, about two hours and like 20 minutes really, with everything said and done. If we move quickly, which of course is my goal. I will not have any kindness for you on Saturday because you'll be watching AP World kids crying into their DBQs as you are leaving for brunch. So, AP World has it worse. You're going to hear their times are much faster for the same amount of work. And their lives will be miserable. So make sure you know when things are happening and when things are due. Is everyone clear on that? We will spend the following week after the mock exam dissecting the mock exam, making sure you know what you did well, where you need help on. Half of the exam will be, half of it will be APGov, half of it will be AP Comp. So you're getting a little taste of both worlds. Keep in mind the standards of both exams are the same formats, especially with the timing, so you'll see how fast the timing is versus the writing. Sounds good? So, Monday is when we start makeups. You're only allowed to do makeups if you have my explicit permission. Everyone good? Perfect. If you're in both AP World, AP Gov, which some of you miserable souls are, You are doing AP World the day of. So you're going to make up your AP Gov ahead of time. So that means I'm hanging out with you Monday after school for 100 minutes. Not because I want to. But as soon as you finish for your writing and for your multiple choice, you just get to leave. Because it's makeup. And I don't really want to spend 80 minutes with you if I don't have to. No offense. With love. So this whole room will be full of multiple exams going at the same time. Anyway, you're making up because it's 2 versus 4. And the AP World is harder. Here we go. Let's talk documents, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk documents. What is that? Brutus right there that you need? Brutus. Let's talk Brutus number 1. Brutus number 1. It is written by Brutus. The author, write down Brutus. Underneath it, most powerful anti-federalist. Now, you don't need to write this part down. We don't know who Brutus is. We have ideas. The reason is, now, the Federalist Papers are not actually newspapers. So if you think it's like a newspaper that they publish, it's not. Madison, Hamilton, and the other 2 dudes are writing newspaper columns, and they get them published in newspapers, the most popular newspapers around the country. Well, the 13 states at this point. Once they get them published, other people respond. That's how people used to argue. You know, now we write nasty comments about each other on the internet. Beforehand, they would publish it in newspapers. So you would see someone criticizing, and then they would post a response the next day from the editor. This is how Brutus and the Federalist Papers were arguing back and forth. So this is in response to the Federalist Papers, specifically by Hamilton and Madison. So it's in response. You should probably write that down. It is written for a newspaper in response to the Federalist Papers. You need to know that Brutus is the most famous of the anti-federalists. You need to know that Brutus feared a federal government would create a kingship. What's a kingship, Katie? Yeah, it's a monarchy. They call it a kingship. Okay, so they feared that the federal government would create a kingship, and that was something to be feared. Okay, you need to know that Brutus represented the majority of people at the beginning. However, Brutus's opinions will change, and eventually agrees that the Constitution is a good thing. Much like the rest of the nation. Can we agree? Because what document is in place here in the United States? The Constitution. Okay? So, Brutus is very indicative of the population. Those are the big things you need to know in order to understand the document. 1780 something. You don't need to know dates if it's published, like, kind of thing like that. Does that make sense? When it's in, like, Federalist Papers, it doesn't matter what date it is, because they're going back and forth on different months and stuff like that. Alright, here we go. Let's do Birmingham. A letter from Birmingham, please. What? What George just asked. When we're talking about, like, Federalist Papers and anything tied to those Federalist Papers, we kind of leave it alone. Okay. Because it's all happening before 1787 anyway, and 1785 versus 1786. Let's keep it. Now, when we're talking about the Constitution, Caitlin, you better know that year. And what year is that? 87. That's my girl. That's my girl. All right, here we go. Letters from Birmingham. You need to know the author is Martin Luther King Jr. I said that as in obviously, and people were like, that wasn't obvious. How is it not obvious? Anyway. Martin Luther King Jr., and he wrote it in 1963. That is an important date. You do need to know that. 1963. So things you need to know about the time period of the document. You need to know that this was written in the Jim Crow American South. Jim Crow American South. What does that mean to be in the Jim Crow American South, Caesar?
It means to be in the in the South of the United States where the Jim Crow laws are in place.
Yes, it
That
does. You
is,
just moved my words around. But what does
yeah.
that actually mean, Caesar? What's the implication of it?
It means that black people are segregated against.
There you go. We're using what court case as justification for this?
Plessy versus Ferguson.
And what does that court case say?
Separate but equal.
And were things equal?
Hmm?
Were things equal? No, it's not equal. That is the big thing. Plessy versus Ferguson allows the government to create separate but equal. Okay? However, immediately, as soon as it's separate, it is not equal. So the Jim Crow is justified by the Supreme Court case of Plessy versus Ferguson. You need to know that. Now, when we talk about this document, Martin Luther King is in jail for protesting using civil disobedience. What is civil disobedience? Ford, mesmerize me with your amazing knowledge on the case.
Civil disobedience is a peaceful form of protest by breaking unjust laws.
These are vocab terms. Where was it used? When was it used?
Gandhi used it, MLK used it in the U.S. for like his boycotts and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but he knows more than that because of the big world. Here we go. Alright, you need to know civil disobedience is created by Gandhi. Martin Luther King Jr. is in jail because of protest using civil disobedience, organizing a boycott, and doing public disruptions. And he is thrown in jail. Now, you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the big kicker of Letters to Birmingham. Before this letter is published, write it down. Before this letter is published, civil rights was seen as a black issue, not an American issue. What does that mean? What does that mean, Jack? It's a black issue and not an American issue.
Like that the government, like it doesn't apply to, they don't want it to apply to certain people.
Sort of. What does it mean that it's a black issue, not an American issue? Britt.
Because of the problems like only for black people. And
Yeah. So as a white person, Britt, would you care about it? Pre-Letters to Birmingham. No, because it was just conceptually considered a black problem. There are lots of problems in this country that are segregated by race today or gender. Absolutely. Black women are 3 times more likely to die during a birth than white women. Yeah, that's concerning in the United States. Is that considered an American issue or a black woman issue? Black women. How often do we talk about it? We don't. That's a huge problem here in the United States. But we consider that a black problem, not a white problem or American problem for all of us. After this is published, write it down. Civil rights becomes an American problem because of how articulate MLK wrote about it. Okay. The biggest thing you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, after this gets published, it's on every newscast, it's in every newspaper, it's on the radio. White people begin engaging in the civil rights movement. Now, how did Martin Luther King convey the message to get white people on board? What did he write about? He didn't write about white people. It's not about white people. Huh? Well, equal rights was what they have been talking about. It hasn't gotten people there. What is the definitive factor, Jordan?
He uses American history, scripture.
Yeah, he's using religion. He's using Christianity. So anyone who identifies as a Christian, he says this fight is the fight that you should care about. And he does it so beautifully that Christians all across the whole country are like, shit, damn it. You're right. Let's do it. Let's get on the buses. And that's what they do. Okay? So, Martin Luther King in his letters to Birmingham take what was considered a black issue and turn it into an American issue. So it is not for one group of people, but it is a problem for the whole nation. Pretty damn powerful, yeah? Okay, so here we go. What is the other blank one you need, Sophia?
But we don't have 70 yet.
Okay, Federalist 70, here we go. Federalist 70, your author is Hamilton. Your author is Hamilton. It's part of the Federalist Papers, so we don't need a date. Okay, and if it's part of the Federalist Papers, what is the purpose of the Federalist Papers, Hannah? To persuade people, absolutely. And when he's trying to persuade them to what, Hannah? To agree with what document? Yes, there we go. Okay. This document, Federalist 70, is all about the energy of the executive. Sorry, I couldn't come up with executive. It is all about the energy of the executive. Underline energy. Energy means the ability to make quick, thoughtful, and precise decisions in the face of a crisis. He also argues that they should only have one executive, not three, which was a popular idea. The biggest thing that you need to know is that it's about being able to put blame on one person. Now, the best thing about being president is you have all the power. The worst thing about being president is everything is yours. Yeah. When things are going great, everyone's like, yes. But when things aren't going great, everyone blames Biden or Trump or Obama. I mean, thank you, Obama was like super popular during the Obama thing. Okay? So, with that being said, it is about having one executive with all the power so that they can be held responsible, aka voted out, aka impeached, whatever was necessary. And it's one person carries the burden, not all the people. Sophia, are we friends? Are you happy with me? Perfect. Alright. That's it, right? Perfect. Okay, you are responsible for the second column, or technically the third column. You should be looking at your primaries. All that information is done for you. Take out your notebook. I'm talking about elections. Okay, for elections, ladies and gentlemen, we start with a primary. What is a primary election? What is a primary election? Emily.
Is that the election to see where people are currently standing?
It's not where they're standing. It decides who gets to run in the...
Oh, who gets to run for office?
Yes, the actual general election. So the first stage of every political campaign, ladies and gentlemen, is the primary. The primary, you're only competing against who? The same party, absolutely. The same party is who you're competing in a primary election. Write it down. People get confused about this. I assumed you all knew it. I learned that quick today. Oh, I like it now. Okay, the primary. You are competing against your own ticket, aka your own party. Right now, there's only one party that we start seeing some shape on the primary ticket. Who is on the primary ticket for the Republican Party right now for 2024? Who is it, Sydney? There are two major candidates. We mentioned their name 1,000 times in this room. Trump and he's the governor of Florida, girl. DeSantis. Both of them are what party? They're both Republican, which is why they're running a ticket. They're both going to be on the primary in about a year and 2 months or something like that. With that being said, one of them is going to win the primary. And what is their prize, Jimmy?
Candidate for the Republican Party.
For what election?
Presidential.
The presidential election. Okay, so when you win the primary, you then get to be the official party candidate for the general election. In the general election, who will, let's say, because Trump is like dominating the polls right now over DeSantis. DeSantis is like completely crash and burn. Of late, he'll be fine. He'll rally. He's got time. If you're a DeSantis fan, he'll be fine. But right now, Trump is crushing it. And Trump's everywhere in the news. Can we agree? With that being said, if Trump wins, who is Trump competing against in the general election, Jake? Joe Biden, if he officially declares, which he kind of declared but didn't declare at the eggplant thing. It was weird.
Well, doesn't he have to get the Democrat on? Doesn't he have to do that?
So typically with an incumbent, if you're president, you get to say I'm running again, and everyone just kind of gives it to you. Because you're the president of the United States, right? You're the incumbent. So it's a little bit trickier, but because the Democrats are not really necessarily thrilled with Joe, but yes. You win the primary, you win against your party, then you go to the general election where you go against the opposing party. Then whoever wins the general election gets to become the president. What, David? Typically. Because if you're already in office, like, you know, if you're super popular and stuff like that, if you're president, you're obviously popular enough to get the office, they typically allow you to do it. But that doesn't necessarily mean Joe has an easy ride ahead of him. Because he's not Democrats aren't really excited about it. And he always said that he was only going to run one term, and here he is talking about two. Desmond.
You know how old he is now?
I don't know.
Like 70s or 80s?
No, I don't know. Anyway, primary goes first. You're competing against your own party. If you win the primary, you get you get to go to the national convention. Write it down. The national convention is where the primary winner of each party gets officially put up for the general election. We had the Republican National Convention held here about probably 10 years ago. Maybe 14 years ago at this point. It was wild. They locked down downtown. It was absolutely insane. Like, we had like full on military outside because it's like a big deal because like all of the heavy hitting Republicans from all across the country all go into one place, which would obviously be a terrorist target, yes? So like they locked down Tampa. It was insane. It was like a war zone. Because I used to live in downtown. It was wild. What do you got?
So there aren't any like bigger Democratic.
Well, yeah, they have the exact same thing. I'm only talking about the Republicans right now because the Democratic side is kind of chaos. Yes?
Well, you're saying like there aren't any like possible candidates.
For what? President for 2024? There are plenty of people who are eyeing it. Everyone gives leeway to the president because he is the president. But the Democrats are not having it. So, here we go. It goes primary election. You need to know that there are two types of primary elections. You have open and closed. Okay? Open means that on your ballot, no matter what party you are or if you're an independent, you see both Democrats and Republican and you can vote for any because it's open. Anyone can vote for any person they want in a open because it's open. In a closed primary, if you're a Republican, you only get a ballot full of. If you're a Democrat, you only get a ballot full of Democrats. And if you're an independent, you get nothing. You get nothing. You don't get to vote in primaries. Now, each state is different. Why is each state different, Emerson?
Because they have like the right to choose.
Who? You're completely, yeah, the states get to control their own elections. So every state is different in how they do elections because every state controls their, so there's no real uniformity. Obviously there's lots of similarities, but there's no uniformity. Okay, with that being said, Florida is which one? Katie, you got 50-50 shot. Open or closed? No, we're closed. It's okay. We're closed. So, which is why I told you when I taught you this in week 10, you should pick a party. I don't care what party it is, but pick one because you want to be able to vote in the primaries, correct? Okay, so pick a party. With that being said, now, why does every single government in the world have some sort of election? Russia has elections. China has elections. Iran has elections. North Korea has elections. Why does every country in the world have elections, Britt?
Not approved legitimacy.
It's legitimacy, ladies and gentlemen. Write it down. Every country in the world has elections for legitimacy. And Britt, what is legitimacy?
From the people, like, leading the government.
Yes, and believe that the government actually reflects their will. Yes? You have high legitimacy and you have low legitimacy. Give me a country that has high legitimacy, Riley.
The United Kingdom.
United Kingdom is the highest at the moment. Who used to be number one?
U.S.
Who's now number two? U.S. We got downgraded 2 years ago, or a year ago. Okay, so legitimacy, you have high, and then you have low legitimacy. Who is a low legitimacy, Brennan? North Korea. That is completely correct. Give me an answer from one of our 7 countries, though. You're completely correct. North Korea is absolutely low legitimacy, but out of our 7? Huh? Iran is a low. What is the lowest legitimacy out of our 7? A little friendly review, Annie. No. If you weren't going to be Russia, it'd be what, Annie? China. It's China. China, remember, what is their name of their Congress? Alice? What's the name of the Chinese Congress or legislative branch? No, they don't call themselves Chinese. Jake? Huh? No. What is it? Grant?
National People's Congress.
National People's Congress. How many weeks a year do they meet? 2. 2 weeks a year. So, super legitimate or no? No, all they do is sit there and clap for their president. And what is the name of their president, Sydney? No. Starts with an X. What do you got, Jack? Xi Jinping. Okay. Oh, what a nice little reminder. Are we excited for APGov next week? Here we go. So, every country in the world has elections in order to project legitimacy. There's high legitimacy, there's low legitimacy. A couple things you should be familiar with. You need to know the term electorate. What is an electorate, Caitlin? Okay, so here in the United States, who is it? Anyone over 18, okay? Initiative. These are citizens proposing legislation. So if I wanted to initiate, everyone wears pink on Wednesdays for Mean Girls, okay? That would go to Congress, and that would be an initiative. A referendum is when we challenge state legislatures, okay? A recall means we're trying to get someone fired. Okay, we're currently in a recall here in Hillsborough County over a school board official for one of them. We're doing a recall. There's a vote out in like a month. I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to tell you. Okay, and then we have an incumbent. You have to know the term incumbent. What is an incumbent? Selena, what's an incumbent? Okay, so who is our incumbent president right now? Joe Biden. Okay, when you are the incumbent, you have huge benefits. Huge benefits. Number 1 is name recognition. Okay, it is easier to run for office when everyone knows your name. That's why celebrities have always run for office, because everyone already knows their name. If I wanted to run for office, everyone would be like, Sam Bennett, who? And I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. You don't know me. Okay? But if I was Beyonce, everyone would be like, yes, Queen Slay, yes. Okay? Name recognition. The second thing, they already have tons of access to donors. They already have the channels lined up. And on top of it, they have the ability to manipulate gerrymandering. Yes, but what house is the only one affected by gerrymandering, Reagan? Huh? No, that's court system. Which one can be manipulated by gerrymandering? Well, there's 2 houses in the legislature. Which one? got 50-50 shot. You got 2. The House is the one affected by gerrymandering. Okay, let's talk interest group versus political group. An interest group means they're influencing. They're trying to persuade. They're trying to buy favor. And how do they buy favor? Britt?
The pork barrel legislation.
No, they're trying to influence that pork barrel legislation. They're trying to pay with cash, guys. They're buying with cash. They're doing donations to political funds. It's like all the black money you could possibly imagine. Okay, that's an interest group. They are trying to persuade politicians to do what they want them to do. Are they successful? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Then you have a political group. A political group is trying to get in the position to make decisions. Okay? Is the NRA trying to make every single decision on guns? No, but they want the people who are in power to make decisions that support the NRA. That's an interest group. A political group wants to be in power making the decision. That's the difference. Interest groups want to be on the sidelines saying, hey, you should do this. A political party wants to be in the center of the room saying, hey, we're doing this, and this is how we're doing it. Do we see the difference between the two? One is kind of murky. One is very straightforward. Okay. Let's talk presidential elections. You have to win. In order to become a president, you have to win what system, Jimmy? Electoral college. And the electoral college is found in what part of our Constitution? Article? No. Which one does the executive branch? Article 2. Well, think about it. In order to become president, you have to have the electoral college. And what part of the Constitution talks about the presidency? Article 2. All right, here we go. So, the electoral college. Every single state has votes in the electoral college. And it's entirely based on what, Alice? Population, absolutely. So our densely populated states have lots of votes, and our smaller states have very little votes. Now, you cannot win the presidency unless you win the... Remember, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but lost the... So who became our president in 2016? Trump, because who won the electoral college? Trump. Okay, what do you got, Caesar? Sure. Okay. That's it for now. What's up, my darling?